What's going on, guys? Zach Evanesh from Underground Strength Gym and also State Director of National High School Strength Coaches Association. And we're going to get into something very important. I just got an email from an athlete who said, Coach, I was working on my deadlift at my gym and then I pulled my back. And he pulled the QL. He told me it's in the middle of the back, so Giggs, come on over here, face this way. We've got the spine, and then you've got your QL muscles that run down the side of the spine. They almost look like cobras when they're developed strong. And how can that happen? It could be if you've got some tightness on one side, maybe you're over mobile on another, so you're stronger and weaker on that side. And sometimes we have basic imbalances. So we're gonna walk Giggs through a couple of exercises that you guys can do at home if you feel that tweak in one side of the QL. And the way I wanna also frame this is, this athlete then went to practice hitting, and with that aggressive rotation of the body, he said he heard it even more after one swing. So number one, strength and conditioning as a whole is, we're trying to reduce chances of injuries. That's why I always emphasize, you gotta train with an expert, because here we have an athlete working on his deadlift. The way he does the deadlift may not be exactly the way it needs to be done with an expert, and then through repeated time of doing things the wrong way, we also get hurt. So number one, what we wanna avoid doing is do nothing. When you do nothing, it feels worse. The back doesn't get a lot of blood flow, so we want to get some blood flow, and I'm going to take you through a few exercises. These are not the end-all, be-all exercises, but these are a handful that we go to. So Giggs is going to come down here on all fours. We'll come to the foam roller later. First thing we're going to do is called a bird dog exercise. He's going to reach one arm out and one leg back, and then he's going to hold. Now what he's going to do is reach towards that wall and reach his foot back. Then he comes in slow, pauses for a brief second, and then he reaches again, and he's gonna hold. So what we're getting is kind of this extension, the tracking. It opens up the spine and stability. We come in slow. In the beginning, we might just do 3 on each side. You could alternate sides, or you could do 3 in a row for the same opposite arm leg. Let's go to the other side, Giggs. So he reaches, and if we were to do this wrong, do it wrong, like arch up and lose. So he'd hunch over or now arch up heavily. This would be incorrect. So all you have to do is reach out and try to keep the back as flat as possible. Then you come in slow. We like to hold the extended part stable for about 5 seconds. Let's get one more. It's gonna hold. And then right here, we're thinking of just kind of locking in like a plank. Good, now stay there. From here, we want to get a little bit of mobility. So Giggs, remember, hand up, elbow comes to the wrist and then open up. So he comes in slowly to the wrist. He'll come up slow and open up now. We try to get the elbow up. Giggs is a pretty mobile kid. This is not going to be the norm. And we go down slow and we'll get about 5 reps each side. Come up and hold. You may not be able to get up this high in the beginning. Nice, let's just do one more. Normally, so Matt, just pan the camera up here. Normally, guys, if it wasn't for filming and moving through, you would obviously get equal reps on each side, okay? From here, another exercise that helps kind of reset and stabilize is a side plank. So we go on the forearm, okay? Go that way, Giggs, face the camera. Go on the forearm, we stack the feet, the arm goes straight up, and then this is parallel to the ground. If he did it wrong, he'd sag the hips down, and he wouldn't be activated. So he comes up, lifts up, and now we're activating one side of the QL, the obliques. And what you're doing here is the core acts as a stabilizer. And a lot of times the one side, the QL, is not stable. Okay, good, take a rest. Now what we want to do is we're getting some foam rolling. We roll areas on the back and also areas kind of above and below it. So normally we would go probably a minute of each area. We're gonna go in the back, we're gonna do the glutes, the IT band, the quads, and the groin, but we're just gonna kind of go a few reps of everything. So Giggs will lay down, he'll slowly roll up and down on his back, not too fast. You feel any tight spots, you kind of hang out on them, and then notice he doesn't fall over it going back. Okay, lean a little bit side to side, Giggs, so you can kind of hit different areas. Good, arms out like the letter T. That hits the back a little differently. So what we're doing is, when the lower back gets hurt, it starts to kind of seize everything up. All right, now what we're gonna do is sit on it, and we're gonna roll out the glutes. So fold one leg over. So if I fold the left leg, I'm gonna lean to the left side and roll out on the left glute, the left butt cheek. It's your piriformis, okay? And you don't even have to take such big motions. It might be painful where you just kind of sit on it in that spot, all right? Then let's do the hamstrings. So we get the foam roller out in front. Hamstrings will get tight. We're gonna roll them out a little bit. We would be rolling everything, calves, all that, okay? Now we're gonna let's go to the groin, the inner thigh. So we lay down, we kind of turn this out at an angle. So let's angle this like that, and come around over here, Matt. So especially when you tweak up your lower back, your groin gets tight. That whole kind of center of your body, it almost feels like it's seizing up. What I like to do is, for the first 3 days of a back injury, we go through this routine 3 times, morning, afternoon, and evening. 3 times a day, 3 days in a row. Then for the next 2 days, it's 2 times a day, 2 days in a row, and then you kind of do maintenance every day. And then gigs show how you just roll out the quads. Quads are gonna get tight as well. Gigs is going a little bit fast, we go slow. If you find what we call a hot spot, like a tight area, we stop on that area, okay? You could also roll out using a medicine ball, but this foam roller here, we picked it up off Amazon. It's called the Grid Foam Roller. Now come on over here. We're gonna do something simple. We just call these dead hangs. Let's go in here, Gigs. And we do these, whether I'm training athletes at the high school or here, we like to do 5 a day. All you're doing is letting it hang. This is great for shoulder health because it distracts the shoulders and it starts opening up the back a little bit. It kind of takes some of that vertical pressure off. If he wants to twist a little bit, you can, but nothing aggressive. Also, take a break, Gigs. We could go overhand, underhand. You could take a wide grip, a close grip. You want to switch that up. Now, I want to go to one more thing. I want to talk about proper deadlift technique. When I'm training high school athletes, it's very, very extremely rare that we pull with a conventional barbell deadlift. Extremely rare. The majority of the time, we're going to use a trap bar, and then when that athlete is advanced and experienced, not an advanced athlete, but an experienced lifter, we will utilize the sumo deadlift. So we're gonna flip this bar around, and then Matt, and then Gigs, bring the bar out, and Matt, come around the side, and we're just gonna put it on the floor, and I'm gonna go through a quick technique. So squat down. So I'm gonna break down the easy way to do this. If an athlete in high school pulls their QL, their lower back, it's usually they were trying to deadlift with a straight bar, the bar was out in front of them. So like I said, we don't really want to use a conventional deadlift for high school kids, or they pulled trap bar too heavy with a round back. So a lot of times kids or coaches will say, hey, I do the same exercises at my school. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. That's why I explain, I have my driver's license, but I don't race in NASCAR. They drive cars, I drive cars. We drive differently. So how do we set it up? Feet in the middle. Then he puts his hands in the middle of the grip. Then he sets his lower back in a squat position. His body's tight. He looks straight, not up, not down. He squats it up and pauses. He doesn't lean back. He doesn't hunch over. He controls it down, gives it a tap, and he's up again. This is a nice straight up and down line with the weight. And this is what the trap bar deadlift has to look like. If he was to pull it incorrectly, his back would be hunched over, knees would cave in, and then done. Nice. Gigs, thanks for your help. Here's what I'm going to say, a couple final notes. If you kill the deadlift, it's going to kill you. The deadlift needs to be treated sub-max effort. The high school athletes don't need to crush high intensity on squatting, deadlifting, benching. They need to leave a little in the tank, because the most important thing is sport performance. Training in the weight room shouldn't take away from their practice, from their competition. So again, deadlifting the right way, conventional deadlift is 98% of the time something I'm not doing with a high school kid. If anything, it's a trap bar or a sumo deadlift. So we got to do it correctly. And then those exercises would be kind of a good way to start getting the back to feel better. There are other things we do. A couple resources I want you to look up is just the McGill Big Three. Do those on the regular. We do sled drags, but most kids don't have access to a sled. And then slowly we get back to squatting and deadlifting, but before we load the spine, we go into doing things like goblet squats, Bulgarian split squats. So we're working on hip mobility and stability of the trunk with these goblet squats, maybe Zercher squats. But basically, 3 days in a row, 3 times a day, that mobility and self-care work. And then 2 days in a row, twice a day, and then everyday maintenance. I'm Zach Evanesh, Underground Strength Gym and National High School Strength Coach Association Director in New Jersey. Thanks for watching, guys.